Yeah, no, I can't remember what it's called. It's called like 10 O'Clock Live or something.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
And it was, I remember them all interviewing Milo Yiannopoulos because he was a gay person who thought he shouldn't be gay, and they basically just sat there and got really frustrated with him. And he sat there looking very smug and made them all look like idiots because they were just getting angry at him, and he looked like he won because he never got angry.
Yes.
And it was the stupidest, shittest thing I've ever seen. It was genuinely like something out of Black Mirror. So you'd have thought that Charlie Brooker would have known how to deal with it.
Well, either that or he saw that and that's how he was like, I've got...
That episode with the blue bear was him apologizing for his complete failure to reckon with Milo Yiannopoulos.
Yes.
Who is not a complicated figure to, deal with.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely terrible. But it's basically the same thing. It's just sort of like snark, political snark. Oh, look at this. Isn't this all a bit silly?
But is there any satire out there which doesn't do that at the minute?
That's a good question. I'm not really connected with satire anymore.
I mean, for me, it seems like all the satire that for me seems to work is when you don't attack. When you, I know people go on about how great what's it called? The thing in the 80s was when they were all puppets.
Oh God, yeah, spitting image.
Spitting images. For me, as a general rule, satire works when you don't just go after individual people, but you go after like ideas and constructs and themes and stuff. So you don't just get a picture of Boris Johnson and go, "Hey, he looks like an orangutan. Let's look at the stupid thing he did last week," because that's just. And also because people in power have now just co-opted that, so Boris Johnson deliberately cultivates that image.
Yes, exactly.
And thrives off any publicity of it.
Because, I think what nobody could have predicted was this owning the libs thing of anything that liberals broadly, or people who are not right-wing, find to be preposterous or humiliating or stupid. Right-wingers have been able to mediate that, like parlay that into this is making them angry, and there's nothing better than making the people that we hate angry. And so everything that you choose to do satire about, if you're going up there and you're saying, look how stupid this is, look how dumb this is, all you're doing is making them think that you're owned. And unfortunately, I don't know how the fuck this happened, but in the current political era, there's nothing more deadly to you politically than being owned. And right now the left is in a constant state of being owned because the right is so preposterous that there's huge amounts of money to be made out of pointing out how stupid it is, which makes us owned.
Well, this is part of the... I mean, because I think there's other people who sort of stupid stuff like satire is dead. For me, the reason why... partly why satire doesn't work is just because our entire culture has become sort of sly and satirical, and just the idea that, because the whole part of the whole idea of satire isn't it's the idea that it's better to, instead of to stand up and try and be earnest or do anything good, it's better to sit at the side and throw mud. That's how it works. And it's like our entire culture has become like that. And anyone who tries to put their head up and say something is just laughed at. And and the people who sit at the side throwing the shit are lauded for being geniuses.
Well, exactly. And I'm not going to try and figure out where it came from. But it's basically, being a cultural critic has become the same as being a clever person. Or somebody who has insight into how the world should work. People who, watch television and say it's... People like us, who say stand-up is shit, people go to them now for ideas on how the world should work. Because, increasingly what's valuable, because it's more entertaining more than anything, is being able to critique something and say that it's shit, as opposed to having an idea or a vision of your own that you try to articulate. And so the world is running out of ideologies that it can adhere to, And it's just becoming, which is where fascism comes from. Everything is just being boiled down to aesthetics. Everything's being boiled down to pointing out what's shit elsewhere, rather than trying to create... You know, if you look at all the really popular right-wing people out there, and all the really popular, people who have big followings on Twitter or YouTube or whatever, who are right-wingers, at the end of the day, all they do is take the piss out of the left. And if you ask them what they actually want out of the world, what they want is something that is completely impossible, like the mass deportation of, immigrants, or some kind of ethno-state, which just would end in mass death. And they know that, but they're not there to actually have their vision come real. They're there because to make money off of people who like watching people own the libs.
It's like, why would you watch an hour-long Netflix special by Trevor Noah when you can listen to someone who says the entire point of this show is he says Trump is an idiot, Obama and tacos are awesome, racism is bad. And you're like, yes, he's managed to summarise the entire hour show into 10 seconds. I think that sound clip is hilarious. And you go, that's the bit that's great. He's dismissed it. Yeah, the person who... having the ability to summarise something in a wry way is now seen as the pinnacle of our society, isn't it?
This is the new philosophy. This is scholarship. What we're doing now, this is what our culture considers to be politics. Fucking hell. Well done, us.
Yes.
What a good world.
A pat on your back from me, Andrew.
Thank you. And one from I to you.
Thank you.
Chink. Ting. Congratulations. Let's drink to that.
Another comic dismissed.
Another lib destroyed.
Yes. Nothing can stand in the way of our destructive bulldozer. Smashing its way through all that people consider art.
Meaningful or real or clever or funny or good.
Yes.
It's all shit, actually.
Yeah, if you just think about it.
If you think about it for one fucking second.
If you distill anything down, you can make it shit.
That's true. Everything, what is anything really? Oh, it's just this. That's all it is.
They're just shit trying to draw itself out and be pretentious.
Yeah. Exactly. Everything that tries to do anything is pretentious, and anything that doesn't try to do anything is stupid.
Yes. Yeah.
That's our philosophy here at the Comedy Review.
Yes. and this is a philosophy that will unite people from across the political spectrum.
People will love this, dude.
Yeah.
People will go crazy for this. This is how we're going to end up being president.
Yeah.
We've
out-snarked all the snarky people.
We've been snarky at the snarkers and therefore rendered them useless.
Yes. And then
the best thing is, because we're attacking the snarky people, nobody will stop to think about the fact that what we're doing is basically the same thing.
Well, exactly. And then someone will come along in 20 years' time and they'll be snarky at us, and the cycle will just carry on until society goes so far up its own arse that it gets constipated and explodes.
Yes, exactly. It's going to become a singularity in about probably 20 years.
And that's the other thing as well, is to deconstruct our own workings so that other people can't... Because this is why fucking Bo Burnham exists. This is why people consider Bo Burnham to be good. Why it works to an extent is that people have to get so deconstructive of their own shit because they know that if they put anything out there, that people don't like critiqued. It. They only like the people who rip it to shreds.
It's because... Like Bo Burnham says, we're all performers, and the only performance that is worth anything anymore is culturally critiquing shit. So if you do any culture, you are immediately at the mercy of every other person in the world who's a cultural critic. So you have to dedicate half of your bit of culture to trying to combat the arguments of those inevitable critics.
Mm.
And that's what we did, so it's
like
safe.
It's like the cultural equivalent of health and safety, isn't it?
Yes.
But in the old days, you could just go up a ladder and do work. Nowadays, you have to spend 5 times as long surrounding yourself with health and safety stuff.
Get a bunch of forms filled in.
It's what we were saying nowadays about sort of doing Bernard Manning could just go on stage and be racist as much as he wants, and no one gave a shit. And nowadays you have to surround it with health and safety warnings.
What a shame.
But that's how it works nowadays, isn't it? You have to surround anything you say with so much deconstruction and padding that
it becomes completely, it becomes diluted to the point of meaninglessness. Yes.
Yes.
That is the culture that we live in, I'm afraid. That's why music's the only good art anymore.